Thank you so much, Busidika. I am a PhD student at Chambogo University under the supervision of Professor Zana Clay and other supervisors. I'm happy to be here and present part of my PhD findings. Looking at engagement, the engagement in learning within low resource education settings, we need to first understand what has been found out globally concerning the engagement of learners in learning as they learn. And research that has been done in the weird communities has actually found out that there are a number of factors that facilitate learning engagement among adolescents. And one of the major factors has been achievement goal orientation and self-efficacy, as we'll see soon. And by achievement goal orientation, we look at the four major aspects of goals orientation, which include mastery approach, performance approach, master avoidance, and performance avoidance goals. And with self-efficacy, which is basically the confidence, the belief that one can achieve at a given academic task, is also looked at in three major sub-constructs, which include academic self-efficacy, emotional self-efficacy, and social self-efficacy. And it has been revealed that actually academic engagement levels among adolescents decrease as they progress through school, given a number of factors that have been identified globally, especially within the research done in the weird communities. And Fredericks and colleagues also found that some adolescents were consistently engaged in learning. This was a longitudinal study. And some of the factors that aided consistent engagement included emotional support from parents, from peers, generally within the environment that a child or an adolescent interacts with. And what is learning like then in the low resource education settings? We did our study in Southwestern Uganda, down there circled in blue, particularly in Kabale district. This is one of the rural areas in Uganda, in the East African parts of the world. And basically, this is the life of a young mother in Southwestern Uganda. Southwestern Uganda is considered as one of the most fertile areas, reproductively fertile areas in the nation, where you find that on average, a mother has about 10 children with one partner, and taking care of them, and then training them on how to learn. And basically, on a daily basis, a day is spent like this, especially within the first 6 years of life. The schools are really far from homes. A child cannot walk 10 miles to school. So they are learning just within this kind of environment, from home to the garden with the mother. You can see this mother carrying a baby at the back, pulling a goat with a hoe on her shoulder, and then the 6-year-old and probably 3-year-old walking along with the younger sibling. So this is how they live their lives every day. There's no goal to set. There's nothing to focus on achieving. Just wake up, move with the mother, go to the field on a daily basis for your first 6 years. And there's no focused learning. There's no cognitive stimulation. It's just about working to have food. And before long, this child is transferred to a school learning environment where they're expected to engage in learning, to set goals, and actually to have the confidence that they can achieve in learning. But to them, it is a mystery. They have not been exposed, they have not been stimulated, and they're expected to compete at the same level and engage like any other child whose environment has been facilitating learning and focused play and all that stuff. So this is a typical also environment within the school setting, the primary school, and then that is a secondary school setting. These are real life examples within Southwestern Uganda. So what motivated us to do this current research? I read this review of it was scoping review of literature done by Saramera, and this review was included about 104 studies, looking at engagement dynamics among adolescent students. And these studies had been done in a number of continents, but none of these included a study done in Africa. So to me, there is a big gap really in Africa. Engagement among children and adolescents has not been studied, and yet we have been told that education is a key to success. So everyone wants to go to school and they want to learn and be successful, but no one wants to know whether I am engaged in this learning while I go to school, or do I just go to school and go home, or I go to engage in learning. So somehow the population in Africa is not represented regarding engagement in learning, especially among adolescents and children. So our present study investigated self-efficacy as a potential mediator between achievement goal orientation and academic engagement. With academic engagement, we looked at the 4 sub-constructs of engagement, which include emotional engagement, cognitive engagement, agentic engagement, and behavior engagement. And then, so we looked at self-efficacy as a potential mediator, but also by doing the in-depth interviews, we also looked at the other factors, context-based factors that could influence achievement goal adoption and also engagement in learning. It was a mixed study methods approach, and we gave our questionnaires to 510 adolescents. These included both compassion support beneficiaries and non-beneficiaries. So I should have talked about compassion before. Compassion now, looking at Southwestern Uganda and the poverty that is there has been non-profit organizations that come to support children and adolescents from these poor homes. And they mainly pay school fees for these children, but also offer social support to these children and collaborate with schools and take them to schools. So we wanted to look at whether there are differences between the supported adolescents by compassion and then the non-supported adolescents. And we adopted these tools to collect the data, and we considered a number of demographic characteristics and then the narratives from the in-depth interviews. From the narratives during the interviews, we were able to come up with some of these factors, factors that influence engagement within the low-resource education settings. And these came up, parents or guardians' expectations. So who sets the goal in the life of this child as she engages in learning? They are working hard to achieve the goals of the parents. The parents expect me to pass, so I will just aim at outcompeting my counterparts. I will not learn to do self-skill enhancements. I will just want to win because my parent wants me to win. Then teacher-student relationship, cases of when a student doesn't score in an exam, then they have a bad relationship with a teacher. And so sometimes they say they end up dropping out of school because a teacher does not appreciate them. And then external rewards and goal setting programs and mentorship. Basically, these were mainly offered by Compassion International Support Projects, training these children to see if they can work hard to be taken to better schools. And also connecting them to mentors and training them on how to set goals. And we found out that actually, specifically in demographics, we found that compassion-supported children are more likely to adopt mastery goals compared to other children. And also adolescents whose mothers were mainly at home were likely to adopt better achievement goals and also engage better in learning. And so with the quantitative findings, we found that for both approach goals, whether performance or mastery, there was a positive self-efficacy partially mediated the relationship. So these approach goals still influenced engagement even when self-efficacy was not in the model, but even when it was included in the model, there was still a significant relationship. And for avoidance goals, there was no significant relationship between the avoidance goal and academic engagement when self-efficacy was included in the model, meaning that if a person adopts one of these goals, they need to have their efficacy enhanced if they are to engage in learning. Otherwise, they will not learn. And from the biodata, actually, we found that most of the students were adopting performance avoidance goals. They want to avoid engaging in any activity that will limit their outperforming their counterparts, because once you don't outperform, you're considered as a weak student in this context. And the summary, yes, demographic characteristics influence engagement among adolescents, and achievement goals and self-efficacy predict engagement, particularly mastery approach and social self-efficacy and academic self-efficacy. And self-efficacy mediates the relationship as you saw in the model, and then there are context-based factors that influence academic engagement and different from other contexts. We have recommendations for school stakeholders, for non-profit organizations, for policymakers, and yes, we can. Now, this is a compassion supported group. These are mothers to the children who are supported by compassion, being sensitized about parenting. So with funding, we can. This is the team behind this work. Thank you very much for listening to me.